Hello, beautiful people. I trust that we are all doing great. So you're welcome to this program. It's a new program. And in this program, we are going to be demystifying menopause. Yes, you heard me right. We are talking menopause. I know there's a lot of misconceptions, misinformation, myths, and all sorts of things surrounding this, what would I call it? Is it a phenomenon, surrounding menopause? And a lot of people, need to know more about it. We need to create a lot of awareness, and that is what we are going to be doing on this program. We are going to be taking it from the very beginning and to the very end, wherever it leads us, because there's really no end. And of course, I'm not going to be doing this alone. This is going to be my co-host and guest, and she's a professional. I'm going to allow her to do the honors to tell us all about ourselves, and then we are going to take it up from there. You're welcome, ma.
Thank you very much. We're going to break the silence.
Yes, we are going to break the silence
about menopause and also andropause.
Definitely.
So we expect men.
The men, those
always
men
come.
Don't move back, move forward. This concerns you as well.
Okay, my name is Musumola Adosunmu. I'm a pharmacist, and I've been practicing community pharmacy for the past 23 years now. And how did I find myself talking about menopause? My parents didn't teach me about menopause. And I used to think that menopause started at 50 and 51. And when I was 42, I just realized that I was cranky. And I was always beating my children. I wasn't there for them. But you see, I didn't see myself, but they saw me. And they knew that something had changed. But they didn't know how to tell me. Until one day, my second son was 9. He was 9 years old. And he just came. After when I got home, I removed my heely shoe and I flogged him well. And for the first time, he didn't cry. Wow. And he came to my room and he said, "Mom, you need help." And I thought to myself, 9-year-old boy telling his mom, "You need help." And then I started hearing voices. Depression. And I think that was God that was helping me. So I brought out my laptop to look for the signs and symptoms of depression. And it will amaze you. Out of 15 signs and symptoms, I was going through 13.
Wow.
And I broke down and I cried. I wept like a baby. And I love Jesus. Just like Nigerian women, we are very, very religious. And I broke down and I said, "God, help me, help me." As a pharmacist, I know that I should have gone to this way to Yaba. That's psychiatric hospital. But you see, because of the stigma, nobody wants to go to this way Yaba. And I thought to myself, where do I go to? I don't know anywhere. And you see, because of that stigma, nobody wants to hear about menopause. Nobody wants to age.
Yeah, nobody wants to age.
Nobody wants to age. And I went on my knees and I said, "God, help me." And then that was where my ordeal started. And from that moment, my body system started to change. I had constipation, and because I'm a pharmacist, it was easier for me. I was supposed to go to the hospital, but I didn't go to the hospital. Most people don't go to hospitals.
True.
They don't go to. I wonder why. Why didn't I go to the hospital? I was scared that the doctors will give me what is not my own.
Exactly. That's the fear most people have.
That's the fear.
Yes.
And I was living in denial. So when I had constipation, I'll go online. And of course, as a pharmacist, I would look for something to help me. I did a lot of self-medication. And then one day, I saw my stomach. Something was kicking inside me. And I thought to myself, this is stomach cancer. And my children saw it. 2 boys, I have lovely boys. And my children saw it. And they said, "Mom, you have to go to the hospital." I said, "I'm not going to the hospital." And what did I do? I got antibiotics. Used the antibiotics. Went on my knees and anointed my stomach. So much ignorance. And I said, "God, help me." And you see, along the way, the only person, God saw my sincerity. And then something in voice, I guess that must be God, and told me, "Start exercising." And then, if you are very conversant with Lagos, I would walk from Antoni Village to Unilag every day.
Wow.
For 3 months. You see, it was that fear that pushed me into doing that. And then I lost weight. The constipation disappeared. And the only food I was eating was pap and moi moi. Every other food was not digesting. And then I went on like that. I had brain fog. That's memory loss. I had 5 branches of pharmacy. I couldn't manage them. I lost practically everything.
Wow.
But until one day, I woke up and I had keratinized, itchy skin. But you see, one thing that was consistent I was doing during this journey, I was reading. I was getting knowledge because I wanted to discover myself, the problem that I had. I wanted to give it a name. When I had that itchy, scaly skin, and then I was crying and I was reading. I was crying and I was reading. And I saw it. Itchy, dry skin. One of the signs and symptoms of menopause. I was happy.
Wow.
And then at that moment, that's what light, knowledge does. At that moment, I got a turnaround in my journey. Then I started helping women. And the first lady I attended to, she was 45. And she's been going from one hospital to another for 3 years without help. And when she came, and I thought to myself, this was what happened to me. This was what happened to me. This was how I solved it. And then that was how I started helping women. And I put them on a particular group. And I sat down one day and I said, okay, let me name it the Meno Club. Big things start small.
Small, yes.
And today, that Meno Club that started with 1, 2, 3 people, we're more than 7,000 on WhatsApp. And on our Facebook page, we're over 70,000 followers.
Wow.
Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And I realized that people need help.
Yes.
And that's why we're doing this.
Yes, that's why we're doing this. Okay, so can we start from the very beginning? What exactly is menopause?
Menopause is very simple. You know, when you give birth to a child, that joy is there. You see your child grow, your child from primary school to secondary school to university, and that child gets married. But you see, along that line, there is a change. Nobody tells us about that change. Nobody, even our so-called mothers and fathers, did not know about this change. About that change, there's something that is responsible. It's called hormones. Those hormones initially, that is present in our body, that makes us beautiful. At a particular age, they now start reducing. And that is when menopause comes on. That systematic body change is called menopause. And there are 3 hormones that are responsible. For women, you have estrogen, you have testosterone, and then you have progesterone. For men, it's majorly testosterone. For women, sometimes somebody out there will wonder, what's testosterone
in women? Exactly.
But you see, the quantity of testosterone in women is very minute, but it is still necessary for this body change. And then when the body starts to change, you see, most women are too busy. They don't know when their body system starts to change. And that's what I will employ every woman out there, even men. Learn to be sensitive to your body. Learn to just take a pause. Just sit down, you and you alone, and say, okay, what am I going through? What is happening to me? God has really helped me. I know when my body is not functioning well. And then once the stage starts to happen, there are over 64 signs and symptoms of menopause.
Mm.
You see, that estrogen, that chemical substance, practically is in control of every part of our body. Is a powerhouse. Let me call it powerhouse or power chemical or whatever. It's present in the brain, in your eyes, your mouth, every organ, every system, every nerve of your body. And when that estrogen starts to decline or fluctuate, those activities that the estrogen is responsible for, they too start to decline.
Wow.
And that is what you call changes that happen during menopause. And then it can be classified into three. We have perimenopause, we have menopause, and we have post-menopause.
Please, let us know. What's the difference between the three?
Okay. For perimenopause, this is the initial stage, the transition stage that happens before menopause. And it can take as long as 2 to 10 years. And then if you're very sensitive, most women are not sensitive. We're going to bring this lady on stage during this our program.
Okay.
Our body system started to change at 32.
That's too
And
early.
then that's too early. And this change is also hereditary.
Okay.
And when she got married, she tried to get pregnant and it was just not possible. And the doctors told her it was hormonal imbalance. When they tell you it's hormonal imbalance, that's menopause. That's perimenopause. That's when you have the hormones fluctuating. It goes up, it goes down. When it goes up, it affects certain organs. When it affects the thyroid, it gives you thyroid toxicosis. Some people, I know a lady that when it went up, when it was high, she got pregnant initially 6 months after, she got pregnant for twins. Yes. This is true. So
She had two pregnancies within 6 months.
Two pregnancies. No, the first one after she delivered.
Okay.
6 months after, she got pregnant again. And then she now went to the hospital. She didn't even know that she was pregnant. And the doctors now did a lot of tests. And they saw that her hormonal level was responsible for it.
For the pregnancy?
Yes. And then she had issue with her thyroid. So during perimenopause, so many changes will happen. Over 64 signs and symptoms. Wow. You must learn to be sensitive. It affects your fertility, it affects your skin, it affects your digestive system, every part of you.
Wow.
And then you're during same perimenopause. These are things that you will observe. Your period starts to dwindle, reduces from 5 days to 3 days to 2 days, and then it starts to skip. Then you have 1 month, you don't see your period, 2 months, sometimes 6 months, you still, and you'll be wondering what is wrong with me. And some people, they will just say, I've given birth to all my children. I don't need it again.
What do I even need it for?
What do I even need it for?
Exactly.
But you see, at that time, you need to sit down and know what is happening to them. But when it is 12 months, consecutive 12 months without period, then you can say, I'm in menopause. Consecutive 12 months without period, you are in menopause. Can you see the difference? And then after that stage of menopause, then you now have post-menopause.
After that 12 months.
After that 12 months, you now have post-menopause. If in a year, you see your period once in a month, out of the 12 months, you didn't see January, February, March, April, May, June, July. You now see it in December. You are not in menopause yet. You're still in perimenopause. And then the 12, the next year, you now do not see it at all. Then welcome to menopause. Do you get the difference?
Yes.
Do you get it? So if you have not seen, if you are here, you're listening and you have not seen your period for 2-3 years, you are in our group.
2-3 years. That's post-menopause. Okay.
And during post-menopause, something is sure. The estrogen level is now so low. And then this is when you have more of the signs and symptoms. More. Because the estrogen is not present at all. It affects your bones. And that's when you have women are more prone to fractures, osteoporosis. And then 50% of women at this stage are going through hypertension. But out of this 50%, 46% of women are not aware that they have hypertension. So we're doing this program for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure that you don't miss this episode
at all. Okay, so because I hear that menopause is not just in women, that it's in men as well. So what are the signs in men?
As was said earlier on, these changes happen to both men and women. Let me shock someone. When you're 30-year-old, you lose 1% of your testosterone. By the age of 30, men start losing 1% of their testosterone every year. But you see, they do not come down with the signs and symptoms. But when they get to like 50, depending on their lifestyle, you see those men that carry weight, they encourage themselves. Those ones don't come down as much as people that don't do anything.
And they drink and do also have big belly.
You describe them all.
No shady, please. Okay.
So between the ages of 49, 50, depending on your lifestyle, that's when men start coming down with the signs and symptoms of menopause, and it's called andropause. Let me tell you the history of a story. A guy came all the way from Port Harcourt. When he got married, 5 years, everything was going on. The sex life, fantastic, beautiful. And all of a sudden, he just discovered that he couldn't just shoot. And he thought it was his wife that was responsible. Women are always the And it started affecting their home. And you see, we don't know where and when to seek for help. This guy now came all the way from Port Harcourt to Lagos. And he called up his girlfriend. So he wanted to try with his girlfriend. And then he still realized that
same thing.
The machine didn't come up. So that was how he came to my pharmacy. And we got talking. And I really wanted to know. He came to ask for vitamin B. And I thought, because if you come to us, we want to know why you want to do what? To prevent self-medication. And he said, somebody said you should get it. I said, well, why are you taking it? He now told me that he couldn't get it up. I said, really, how old are you? It was 40, it was 38. 38. And the next question I asked him is, where do you work? He works in the chemical company. Wow. So those chemicals have affected his testosterone. They've actually destroyed the efficacy of his testosterone.
Wow. So that is, he can't even get it up. Not that he's shooting blanks. Because I've heard that sometimes if you are working, blah, 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 you'll be shooting blanks. It affects the fertility of the... But this one is not even...
He just couldn't get it up. Wow. but we're able to help him. We're able to help him. So for men, most of the time, what they see, they have the same, maybe 3% of men have some of these signs and symptoms at early age. You see men, I've seen men with hot flashes. I've seen men with hot flashes. You see, most of them don't know what to expect. They don't know what to expect. I've seen men come down with hot flashes and then they tend to get tired. And they have decreased body mass, then their stomach. And then what's another thing that they notice is decrease in their libido. But you see, they don't associate this to menopause or andropause. They start associating it to stress, start associating it to maybe their business is not doing well, start associating it to some other things. But right now, once they start getting knowledge, and we keep this conversation going, they realize that the more knowledge that they have, the more things will start getting better.
Yeah, because you know what to do.
Because you know what to do and what to look out for.
Yeah. Is it possible that in the libido part, is it possible that the opposite is the case? Can it be possible? Because I've heard of men who are in their 50s even, and it seems like their libido is higher.
Oh yes, even in women. Even in men, their research is, we do not come down with this the same way. Some men at this stage, their libido is far out of this world. Even in some women, their libido is far out of this world. I've seen cases where women going through this stage, their libido is so high and their husbands will have to buy them vibrators. Wow. So there's no challenge, there's no signs and symptoms that cannot be managed. If the couple agree that, the husband says, my own libido is not as high as your own. What do I do? Go and be helping yourself. If that is what is good for you, please manage it to save your home. And some men have made themselves uncomfortable to satisfy their women. So, but in a way, in a situation where the woman is not doing well,
is the one, exactly.
Which is
so usually the case.
Will you give your husband, your man, a girl?
You buy him sex toy too now. There are sex toys for men. It's just that the men will not take to that. They want a real life physical person.
But the truth is, to every sign and symptom, there's a way we can manage it. And that is for families, for couples. Communication is the most important thing. It's key. Both of you should sit down and ask yourself, okay, we are here. How should we solve this? Not that the man will walk away, the woman will walk away. No. Learn to communicate.
Yeah. So there's one question that I want to ask. I want to know if trauma, if trauma can quicken the onset of menopause.
Yes, it can. It can. Depression, trauma can. Especially, you see a woman at that age going through divorce. And things are not okay emotionally. Her system is shut down. So that can actually predispose her into coming down with menopause.
Faster, earlier. Okay. Than it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then surgery.
Okay.
Can make a woman come down to menopause earlier. And then some medications, maybe
surgery, like if you remove your removal, yes.
And then medications, maybe someone is on anti-cancer drugs. Okay. It will bring somebody down to menopause earlier.
Okay, now let's talk about, we've said that menopause is not just in women, it's also in men. Now let's talk about why men shy away from menopause. Why? They don't even want to. Some men, some men have even said as much as that, irony, there's nothing like that. Because there are people, there are people who believe that there's nothing like depression.
There's so many people out
there. I have met
quite a number of people who told me that there is nothing like depression. It is a borrowed phenomenon from
the Western world that what's depression? That there's nothing like depression. That once you it's because you are hungry. Once you eat or you have money. And I'm like, wow.
It's
and
ignorance.
I'm talking about learned people.
Yeah. Well, learned people sometimes live in ignorance. It could be ignorance, and they're living in denial. For someone to be going through depression and saying that there's nothing called depression,
yes, there's
the
nothing
person
called
is living
depression.
in denial.
There's nothing called depression. What are we saying? It's not an African thing. It's an Oyinbo thing. There's no depression.
They're
You
living
need
in
to.
denial.
It's because you are hungry. Just like yourself. What was depression? Did our parents face depression and all that? I'm like, wow.
For them,
yes.
number one thing is ignorance. Ignorance. And then fear. Some know that this thing exists, but they want to shy away from it.
They dread it.
They dread it. That's the word. And they're like, I can't imagine my wife going through menopause, which means I won't be able to enjoy sex anymore.
Exactly.
And then some are associated to a woman's thing. Oh, men don't go through menopause. It's only it's for women alone. And then some men associate it to weakness. That if I come out and say I'm going through andropause, it's a form of weakness.
Like it makes you less of a man.
It makes you less of a man. Those are myths. Those are not real. So the better we come to this and face it, your body system is changing. How do we handle it?
I even think that some people think there's no way out. I think a lot of, well, let me not say a lot, but quite a number of people feel like, okay, menopause is like death sentence. Like once you have it, that's the end. Like there's no way to manage it. There's no way to live life after that. So once you have it, that's the end. Especially for the men, you know. So they feel like, oh, once a woman has menopause, and then I'm not beginning to think backwards. That maybe that's why back then, you know, our fathers, our grandfathers, that's why they had multiple wives, because they feel like, oh, you know, that time they used to have ìyàwó àgbà, ìyàwó kékeré, that kind of thing. So they'll feel like, oh, she has entered our phase. There's nothing that can be done. So I need a younger person, you know.
Some people are still living on that. I remember I went to Ikorodu and I went to go and talk to a set of people. Don't let me mention. And there are those kind of groups that once your wife gets to a certain age and she's not seeing her period, they take on the second wife. And once the second wife gets to that stage, they take on the third wife. Because some people believe that once a woman does not see her period, that is the end of that woman. But you know one thing, it is the beginning of another phase. Beautiful phase. I tell people, this is the best period of my life.
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, I'm meditating. I'm enjoying myself every day. I look into the mirror and I see a new me evolving. Ideas are coming. And my children are grown. There's nobody to tie me down. I can bring forth. So let's start seeing, let's have a mindset change. Menopause is another phase entirely. And if you look within you, you will see that beauty coming out.
So it is not a death sentence.
It's not a death sentence. And for some people, all they know about period is a woman not seeing her period. So on this program,
that's all they know about.
We're going to be teaching you so many things about menopause. Menopause is beyond a woman not seeing her period. There's more to it.
So now you were talking about someone earlier, about the man who, you know, started seeing, it was a symptom, since he couldn't get, I guess it was a symptom at 32. 38, okay, you know, that young for a man, especially, you know, because men, they are like, oh, a man is only women that have problem. A man can go on forever. 70-year-old man can still, you know, bear children and all that. So it's like, oh, it's a woman thing. That's still say. So how do you, from what point or at what age do you start to think of menopause or start to think like, okay, I have to prepare for menopause, because you mentioned also a 32-year-old woman. You know, I would think that she's in her prime, like she's in her prime. Maybe, you know, maybe she even just got married or she's still having children and all that. So how can she come down with menopause? So when exactly is one supposed to start getting ready? You know, when we were young, they say, you know, adolescents, you know, teenager adolescents, you know, you have to prepare for adolescence. Okay, when you are like what age is that, 12 or 11, 12, you know, you start seeing changes, you know, you start budding and all that. So when does one start preparing for menopause?
Advocacy for menopause, from my perspective, should start at 30.
Yay.
Start getting knowledge. There's nothing wrong in getting knowledge. That lady that I told you about, she's going to come on our program. She joined the Meno Club.
Okay.
And then she started getting knowledge. One day she said, these are old people, let me exit. But somebody just told her, why not just sit down there and get more knowledge? 2 or 3 years after, she became menopausal at 38. But God helped her. She had 3 children within that space of time. There's nothing wrong in you getting knowledge. Once you get knowledge, you start preparing yourself from the age of 30. Even at 30, once you get knowledge, you can help your mom. You can help other people, not only for you. Get knowledge. Knowledge about the body change is important. At the age of 18, you start getting knowledge on which university. No, at the age of 14, 15, you start getting knowledge about which university for you want to go,
and all that.
It's exactly the same thing. Get knowledge at 30 to start preparing you for that journey.
Okay, so this is just a tip of the iceberg, like they say. We are going to be bringing a lot more information to you, so don't miss any episode. Like we said, in the next episode we are going to be telling you, discussing the signs, you know, the symptoms of menopause and a lot more, you know, things. So don't go anywhere, stay tuned. Let's close it up for now. You say bye bye to our guests. I will see you next time.
Okay, for our audience, I'd like to encourage you, don't miss this program for anything. It is when you have your life and you have good health, that is when you can make money.
Exactly.
The knowledge you get here will turn things around for you. So every day, every time this program is coming on, run towards it and get yourself equipped.
You've heard it. So share this video so that a lot more women and even men can know about this program and can also gain knowledge. And also subscribe so that you can get notifications when we come out with the subsequent, you know, episodes. And follow us on all our social media handles at The Eagle Online. Check our bio, you see all our handles there. Follow us and we'll see you next time. Don't forget, keep getting knowledge. We'll see you next time.